Could a single wrong decision really set the entire world on fire? Do we ever learn from history, or just keep repeating it? And if the same situation happened today, what would we do? It all began on a cold morning, September 1st, 1939. German tanks led by Adolf Hitler stormed into Poland. Within hours, flames of war spread, what we now call World War II. 2 days later, Britain and France declared war, and the world split into two sides once again. But why did humanity fall into another nightmare so soon? Only 20 years had passed since the end of World War I, yet its wounds were still bleeding. Germany had been humiliated by the Treaty of Versailles, forced to pay massive reparations and keep a tiny army. People were starving, inflation was insane, and hope had vanished. In the middle of that despair, one man promised to restore pride: Adolf Hitler. He spoke of a great German future, promising jobs, bread, and national glory. And in 1933, when he took power, he began secretly rebuilding Germany's army: tanks, planes, and weapons forbidden by the treaty. Yet Britain and France looked away. They were still tired of war. In 1938, Hitler annexed Austria without firing a shot. Then he took part of Czechoslovakia. And when he set his eyes on Poland, the world finally said enough. War in Europe had begun, but soon it would spread far beyond it. In East Asia, Japan was already invading China and expanding its empire. In Italy, Mussolini dreamed of reviving the ancient Roman glory. The world was now divided between two alliances: the Axis powers, Germany, Italy, and Japan, versus the Allies, Britain, France, the Soviet Union, and later the United States. At first, the Axis seemed unstoppable. Poland fell, France collapsed in just weeks, and London burned under nightly air raids. In 1941, Hitler launched his biggest gamble, invading the Soviet Union, Operation Barbarossa. Millions of soldiers crossed Eastern Europe toward Moscow, but the brutal Russian winter and the fierce resistance of the Red Army shattered his dream. That same year, on the other side of the world, a shocking attack changed everything. On December 7, 1941, Japanese planes bombed Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. The U.S. Pacific Fleet burned. Thousands died. That attack brought America into the war, and now it truly became worldwide. But behind the battles, an even darker horror unfolded: the Holocaust. The Nazis built death camps, killing over 6 million Jews along with countless Roma, communists, and political prisoners, one of humanity's darkest moments. Yet by 1943, the tide was turning. The Allies won in North Africa, then invaded Italy. Mussolini fell. In 1944 came the largest military operation in history: D-Day, the invasion of Normandy. Thousands of Allied soldiers landed on French beaches to liberate Europe. Hitler's armies retreated but refused to surrender. His final gamble, the Battle of the Bulge, failed. By April 1945, Soviet troops reached Berlin. Hitler took his own life. Days later, Germany surrendered. But the war wasn't over yet. In Asia, Japan kept fighting, and the United States made a decision that would change the world forever. In August 1945, 2 atomic bombs were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Over 200,000 people died within days. Japan surrendered. World War II was finally over. After 6 years, more than 70 million people were dead. But peace didn't come easily. Cities were destroyed, economies collapsed, and the human spirit was scarred. From the ruins, the United Nations was born to prevent another global war. Technology born from battle, radar, rockets, nuclear power, would later shape modern science and industry. Yet a new rivalry rose: the Cold War between the US and the Soviet Union. The map of the world was redrawn. Europe divided, Asia transformed, and America emerged as the dominant power. But did humanity really learn? Decades have passed, yet we still feel the war's shadow. In politics, in technology, even in movies and video games. We live in a world built from its aftermath. From the internet that began as a military project to alliances like NATO, created to stop history from repeating itself. And yet, when we look at today's headlines, conflicts, arms races, rising tensions, we can't help but ask, Are we walking the same path again? World War II may have ended, but its impact still echoes. Through history, through memory, and through us. Maybe the real question is, if the world stood on the edge again, what choice would we make this time?